This is my guide to Riverside. Hey Crusaders, so today I am finally doing something I promised to do months ago, and that is to talk about the Ellen Kushner books that I have read, specifically the Riverside trio, and I have failed to do so, and I love them and I've gone on about them for so long that it only seems right that I do a little discussion of them, but for one reason or the other I just haven't. But I am fixing that right now. Today we're going to talk about Riverside. So I'm going to start off by saying that these are my favourite books. These are my favourite little trio of books. I can't talk about them coherently. I have tried, but every time I do, my mind goes into overdrive with how much that I love them. So this is just a warning for this video. It's very difficult to say what they're about. So this is more of a guide because it's confusing the order you read them in and what even are they about, and just a general overview. Let's not get into specifics. But in essence, they're fantasy of manners, a lot of plotting, some court intrigue, swordsmen, duels, bisexuality, even wizards, lots of love and lust and betrayal, and just people being plain mean. They're a very intelligent fantasy as well, and if you don't like fantasies that have a whole host of unlikable characters and a whole chunk of sin, then these probably aren't for you. In fact, these probably aren't for a lot of people. The general consensus seems to be you either love it or you hate it, so that is a warning. I really don't expect everyone out there to love them. I love the fact that I am talking about my favourite books and I'm basically saying you may not like them. On the other hand, you may absolutely love them, in which case join the club. So first of all, what are the books? The first one is Swords Point, the second one is The Privilege of the Sword, and the third one is The Fall of the Kings. I get it, I get that they don't look anything special, I get that they look really typical cheesy fantasy covers, but I couldn't imagine them as anything different. The other Ellen Kushner book that I have also read is Thomas the Rhymer, and I will talk about this one a little bit later, but for now we'll just put this to the side because it's a completely separate book, it's not in that series. Righty ho! First of all, the first book, Swords Point, it would probably be a good idea for me to give you a hint of what this is about. If you haven't already picked up on the fact that it's probably going to be swordsmen, nobles, court intrigue, lots of bad people, someone who really needs to cut down on the amount of drugs that he's taking, but I love everything about him, but we're not talking about Alec right now. This is a time to talk about Alec, but I need to tone it down because I will get too excited. So basically this is a whole world of swordsmen and duels. Riverside and the Hill. Riverside is the dark, scary, twisted town where the common people live, and it's all the feeling and the hustle, the fights and the drama and the feel to it, and the Hill is where the nobles live. Now, Richard St. Vier is the undisputed swordsman master. No one beats him in a duel, and this is a time when duels were fought to the death if they so choose. None of this first blood malarkey, to the death. St. Vier is still knocking around, isn't he? So it is the nobles on the Hill who use duels to settle their disputes. It's ridiculous. No matter what they're disputing, oh, let's have a duel and see who's the winner. Whoever's the winner is the person whose swordsman wins. That makes sense. But basically, one day, St. Vier kills someone by the sword, and it is not met with the same happiness or it is met with outrage. And you soon realise that it's okay to kill people as long as it's on the nobles' terms and done in the correct way, but if you do it in a different way, it's not okay to kill people. logic. It's about a lot of different characters. I can't really go into that. There are so many different characters and perspectives and people plotting against each other and plots within plots. It's about Saint Veer and his lover Alec as well. Alec is absolutely hilarious. He's this boy who dresses like a scholar and everyone's like, where did he come from? Who even is Alec? He's not very nice to anyone. That is Swords Point, and I really didn't describe it very well, but there is a lot happening in here, and it's like, please don't never leave me. So the next book after Swords Point is actually my favourite, and that is The Privilege of the Sword. But before I go into a little bit about what this is about, I will try and explain something. Right, so The Privilege of the Sword is definitely Riverside Book 2. It takes place 20 years or something after Swords Point, and then Book 3 is The Fall of the Kings, because it takes place 60 years or something after Swords Point. I'm not entirely sure on the numbers. So things happen in here that are talked about in here, and obviously things happen in here that are talked about in both of them, and it's like a time sequence. So you'd think it was 1, 2, 3, but this book was published before this book because Ellen Kushner gave up on this, decided she didn't think it was any good, scrapped it. The Fall of the Kings was released, so it's strange. If you read them in publication order, then this book spoils this book, because then she did release this book, and so in essence it's like releasing book 1 and 3 and missing out 2 and then releasing 2 later. I mean, they don't have the same plots and they have different characters. It's just some things about what happened in this are completely spoiled in this because of family lines and everything if you don't read this one first. So definitely read them. Swords Point, Privilege of the Sword, The Fall of the Kings. Don't read them in publication order, otherwise I think, in my opinion, it ruins parts of it. So The Privilege of the Sword is my favourite. It's set about 20 years after Swords Point. It's about Catherine, who's a new character she's introduced. She gets a letter and basically she needs to go and live with her mad uncle, Duke Tremontaine, and then she'll get a lot of money. But basically what happens is he makes her dress up like a boy and learn the art of the sword. And at first she's like, I'm not a boy, why are you making me fight with a sword? What is this? What are you doing? You're mad, that's not nice. But you get kind of the feeling, don't you, that she'll start to see things different. She'll start to see women's place in society and question things. At the same time, the Duke is trying to get people to question how ridiculous it is that disputes are settled with sword fighting, and you can see that this is like 20 years after Swords Point and things are moving forward and changing, which is so interesting. And Catherine is such a great character. I really love her. And all the other girls her age are trying to find husbands and she's there fighting duels. And then we have The Fall of the Kings, about 40 years after The Privilege of the Sword. This one is a lot different. It's about Theron and Basil, who are reenacting an ancient ritual that used to happen with kings and wizards. Now this is 60 years after Swords Point was set. Duels and such are very different these days, and also scholars, and it is a whole world of scholars. So this is set at a university. Now Theron and Basil are not in the other books, but Theron is linked with someone from the other books that I can't say who it is because that would be spoilers, but I really love the way the characters pick up and go through certain lines, and yeah, yes, absolutely. This is why I want people to read them, so that I can discuss how fantastic they are. So that is a sum up of the 3 books. Now these books aren't really printed, I don't think now. I think it's getting harder to get them. I'm not entirely sure about that. I looked on Amazon before and there was an omnibus of the 3 coming out on December 17th, but now I can't find it. And now when I'm looking at the Privilege of the Sword, it's saying one's coming out in 2016, November. And I have no idea what's going on with these. So I think if you want these copies of them, they're still around for you to find on Amazon or in secondhand shops if you're in America, because I'm sure you'll find them easier in America. And you can get these copies, but if you want the new versions, whatever they are, I don't know when they're coming out. I'd really love an omnibus of the three together. I think it's okay to buy a new version of a book that you really love. Considering the fact that I bought these second hand, I didn't bend it. I bought these second hand because it was the only way I could get them. But I'm very happy with the quality of them. So that is that. That is Riverside. So yeah, I'll just mention Thomas the Rhymer quickly because it's a fantasy retelling of Thomas the Rhymer. It's done very nicely, about the queen who whips him away into fairyland, takes away his voice and such. It's good. I really enjoyed this one. Just want to say that Ellen Kushner's writing style is basically the best thing ever. She's got such a beautiful and descriptive writing. It is so lovely. I can't go on more about it though. I could go on about a lot of things about why I love Ellen Kushner, but I just wanted to explain what Riverside was plot-wise to people. So I hope that I've done that. I probably hope to do another video on Ellen Kushner in the future if I can find any more of her books to read. Riverside is such a great world. The atmosphere is so amazing. The way that she makes it feel like it's gone forward in time in each of her books and the way it develops is absolutely phenomenal. I can't get over how good of a writer she is. I want more people to read her, I really do. And the LGBTQI plus, what? And the LGBT plus characteristics in it are fantastic too. Everyone is blooming bisexual in these books. So thank you for watching. To mix with another series that I love so much, I'm gonna say look in the shadows, guys.